the Sports Betting Network.
The numbers told the story, they always do.
It's one of those idiots who believe in analytics.
This is a numbers game with Gill Alexander on VSiN.
Good Monday morning to you. It is a numbers game with VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, VSiN.com, Game Plus, iHeartRadio, YouTube TV. However you're taking us in, we appreciate it. It's Gill Alexander, and back in the fold, it's Kelly Bidlin, everybody, producer number 9. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Coming back sharp, helping you out, helping you cue you because you don't have your audio set up. It's okay. The quick NASCAR changeover in here is tough. Yeah,
completely ready to go. I have no idea what you're talking about. By the way, not only were you gone last week, Drew Dinsick wasn't here, Fezzik wasn't here, Dr. Bob wasn't here. Me and Wyatt were like, all right, well, who's in town? So Carl Sack stepped in, Jake Benzaquin stepped in.
I saw a lot of great Carl Sack segments last week. I did see that.
He was giving out winners.
Carl Sack's awesome.
That's all that matters. Kelly Bidlin, ladies and gentlemen, producer number 9, so much more than a producer. It is Guessing Lines Week 18 in the National Football League. And here's the thing about it. On the one hand, this is the most, how can I put this, verkachte guessing lines of the season would be the word I would use. But here's the thing. In many ways, it's the most interesting because there's several levels to kind of try to suss out here about how these teams are going to play this Week 18 with motivations being different from team to team. We'll get into all of it. And, in the process, we'll look back at week number 17 in the National Football League.
I will tell you, Gil, one of my favorite new annual traditions is just to sit in front of my Don Best screen after they start releasing openers on Sundays, because it's like, move 4 points one way, move 5 points back the other way, move 2 points back the other way. You're like,
some of these games, before I said it to you last night, I'm like, I don't know. Yeah, this could be this.
So it's also one of my favorite weeks in guessing lines because we have multiple games where Gill nails the line and multiple games where you have the wrong team favorite.
I'm sure. I'm sure we do. All right. Before we do that, Circa Survivor update, as we always do at the beginning of each and every Guessing Lines. We are down to 18. 18 entries left as 16 go out with the Colts yesterday. Colts getting upset by the Giants. The Giants now no longer have the number 1 pick in the draft. They fall back to number 4 as we stand right now. But the Colts go down. 16 go down with them. 18 left. Intrinsic value, implied value of the remaining 18 entries, each of which $792,000. $792,555.56.
Oh, man.
Congratulations to all who are currently still alive.
I wish I was in that spot where you just locked in, like, if you somehow had like $250K locked in right now and then just the rest on the line, you did it right.
But it is brutal because of what we just talked about. So many games involve varying motivations. And if you saved certain teams, I don't know who each of these have saved, but you may be one of these, at least a few of these 18 must be locked into a situation where, like, oh my God, the teams we were counting on.
Like the Bills.
Let's say it's the Bills.
Yeah.
Probably not, but let's say it's the Bills for argument's sake. They have nothing to play for. Oh, God. Right? That kind of thing. So, 8, by the way, there's been too many to even consider a chop until now. 18 seems like too many to consider a chop.
Yeah. And because of what you're talking about, I'm sure there are certain people out there that think they're in far better positions than others. And we saw that come into play last year with the chop conversations.
100%. Good luck to all in Circa Survivor, the $14,266,000 Circa Survivor. All right. This is the week also now where the NFL, and they did this a few years ago, several years ago at this point, where they legislated out the possibility, they don't know about this, but what we're looking forward to with correlated parlays. Now, everybody involved in the same sort of playoff scenario plays concurrently. They play simultaneously, they play at the same time. And so we have 2 games on Saturday. We have an early block on Sunday that is sort of the correlated game, same with the afternoon block, and then, of course, a Sunday night standalone.
Can I go bravo NFL for a second? Because I feel like we usually crap all over schedules, but like I think they've kind of got this figured out for Week 18 now.
Well, because, especially this year, because honestly, there's not many games. I mean, there were scenarios here where if things broke another way, let's say like Denver had won that game last week, this past Saturday. we could have had so few games of implication. We already have very few, but it could have even been fewer.
Or, if the Falcons win last night, you could have a little bit more, a couple more.
We'll get to that. All right, where do we start? Let's start with Saturday.
Guess the Lions fired it up.
Let's
week
do it.
18, last full week of the NFL season.
Semana 18.
All right, Saturday,
Yeah.
4:30 Eastern, Browns at the Ravens.
Okay, we don't have to talk about the other nice thing about Week 18 is we don't have to talk about games that stink. So the Browns lose to Tyler Huntley and the Dolphins. There's nothing else to say about it other than DTR. Do you want to know DTR's greatest stat from yesterday?
Please tell me, how good of a quarterback is he?
Oh, he's so good. 24 of 47 for 170. Think about that. 47 pass attempts, and he managed 170 yards. That's 3.6 yards per attempt.
I thought the NFL was an entertainment product, Gill. Give me an entertaining quarterback. You got one there on the bench.
And then you have Baltimore. Baltimore, they win, and they win the AFC North. They win, and they lock in the number 3 seed. Baltimore, again, with Lamar Jackson right there with, plus 255 dog, something like that in the MVP market right now. As Josh Allen ticks back up after playing yesterday, I see it as Lamar should be the favorite. But, of course, we have an honest disagreement on that. We'll get into the MVP talk a little later. So, again, they win, Baltimore does. They win the AFC North, and they get the number 3 seed. Baltimore should be a 1,000,000-point favorite in this game. I said 14.5.
Yeah, right now it is up to...
This is going to be great.
Oh, boy. My lines are all out of sort.
You got one job, Kelly Bidlin.
I know, exactly. They didn't resort everything. Ravens, Browns, we're up to 18 now. 17.5, 18.
Awesome. Yeah, I can't disagree.
Let me go over to DraftKings for the rest of the show.
I thought by putting a hook on top of the 14, I was doing something, but I can't disagree.
Okay, so...
The only issue here is, does Baltimore go out to a massive lead and then at some point say, well, we've done it. We're going to have the number 3 seed. We're going to win the division. Why don't we call off the dogs? Lamar, all y'all, the last quarter and a half. Why don't you take a seat?
That is the only issue, though, right?
Yes.
Like, I don't know if I've ever laid 17.5 points or if I can remember.
But you might want to here.
But I might want to here if it wasn't for that. I might be looking at, first half alt lines or something like that on Baltimore, because I think you're right. There's a possibility if this gets into blowout territory. I have no trust in DTR and actually making this a game at all, so.
Let's go to the second one, because I want to talk about this.
All right, Bengals, Steelers. That is Saturday night.
Bengals, Steelers, Saturday night. Steelers, in order for them to win the AFC North, they would have to win, and Baltimore would have to lose. The Steelers now are really, if they're pretty much convinced the Ravens are going to win earlier in the day, which they'll know, obviously, by kickoff, seeding still matters because being the number 5 seed means you get to go to Houston, 5-4. So winning here would matter big to the Steelers. Winning here and having Steelers have the inside track for 5, or do the Chargers?
No, they do. As of right now, Steelers have the inside track, but they got to win.
They got to win. So that's why it still matters to the Steelers here this game. And the Bengals, of course, it matters hugely to them because if they win and both the Broncos and Dolphins lose, the Bengals would get a playoff berth. So it makes the line guessing very difficult. But let's just talk. We know about the Steelers because we already talked about that. The Steelers losing to the Chiefs badly, where Mike Tomlin still giving charity punts in that game. But and then acting like they didn't want to score at the end. It was very, very weird. 29-10 Chiefs. We talked about it. But Cincinnati, we got to talk about this game against the Broncos. Cincinnati, 10-10 game, 3:10 left in the third quarter. Cincinnati, they match touchdown. Cincinnati, 63 yards, Burrow to Higgins from 12, 17-10 Bengals, 11:33 left in the fourth quarter. Bo Nix and the Broncos come right back, 5 plays, 75 yards. Nix to Mims Jr. from 51 out. How great is Mims Jr., both on special teams and as a wideout? 17-17, 8:48 left in the fourth quarter. Cincinnati, 3rd and 4 at midfield. Burrow to Higgins for 7, tackled by Surtain, fumbles. Surtain recovers, but Denver gives it right back. 3rd and 15 at their own 46. Nix picked by Jermaine Pratt. Cincinnati, and here's where the shenanigans begin, Kelly. Cincinnati, 17-17 game. 1st and 10 at their own 41 with 2:30 left. Fourth quarter. Burrow to Chase for 38. It's 1st and goal at the 4 with 1:36 left. Okay. Here's the thing, guys. For all of you who are killing Zach Taylor, you are right about this moment. You are not right about the second moment. Here's what should have happened here. The Bengals should have simply kneeled on the football and kicked the chip shot field goal, and the Broncos would have gotten the ball back with roughly 10, 15 seconds left in the game, down 3. That was the correct way to play it. Instead, the Bengals decided to run a play. Chase Brown was bottled up, and then he broke out of that and bounced off for a 3-yard pickup to the 1. Problem is, he got hurt. So not only does he tweak his ankle and have to leave the game, but Cincinnati has to take an injury timeout, and Denver saves their lone remaining timeout. People killing Zach Taylor for what happened after this are incorrect. You can kill him for not kneeling. But here, the choice was between second and goal that Denver won with 1:31 left. So you either go up 7 with 1:29 left, or you go up 3 and give Denver the ball back with 45 seconds to go. I think you score there, and that's what Cincinnati decided to do. Denver then had 3 plays to get a 1st and 10 at this. All it took was Denver 3 plays to get 1st and 10 at the Cincinnati 34. Nix to Lucas Crawley failed to get out of bounds after a 3-yard gain. 4th and 1 at the Cincinnati 25, last time out used. Nix flushed right, heaves it to Mims Jr., ruled a catch on the field. He survives the review, touchdown. 24-23. Bo Nix is calling a go for 2. Pre-review, I don't know if Peyton changed his mind during the review or if he always wanted to kick the extra point, but he, like an idiot, decides to kick the extra point because you can make the playoffs with a 2-yard play, but instead you want to play a random overtime against Joe Burrow.
More of that to come in Week 17.
Zach Taylor, and then Sean Payton's like, hold my beer, watch this. And we go to overtime. We'll give you the guess here in a moment because this is an interesting guess to make in terms of a Cincinnati at Pittsburgh game. Coming back.
Here are 3 reasons ZYN is America's #1 nicotine pouch. We use food-grade ingredients. We have a wide selection of varieties, and they all come in 2 strengths. Find ZYN at a store near you.
Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Time. There's nothing more valuable. It's what drives everyone to make the most of every moment. We celebrate living large in the now. In a city where time disappears, we create experiences that electrify the soul and memories that will last forever. We go big, we go all night, and here, everyone is invited. So get loose and get loud.
This is Circa. You'll have the time of your life.
Coming up on the next Follow the Money, Mike Paulman from Mitch Moss will preview Week 18 of the NFL and know who's in, who's out, and college football playoff games. Nick Bogdanovich from Circa as well. Follow the Money weekdays 4 to 7 Eastern on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
So, Paulie, have you had a chance to read the VSiN Daily yet?
Yeah, came in at 3 a.m. What's Bill doing up that late?
Well, rumor has it, it starts off with a 12-hour meditation session.
Then he just pours himself over film and live TV, really focusing and taking it all in. Bill's in with the biggest insiders, talking trade secrets, strategies, the whole 9, absorbing the info.
And then and only then can the writing process begin.
In Las Vegas, Bill's late night becomes your early morning. Wake up to the very latest betting insights in your inbox with the VSiN Daily. Sign up for free at vsin.com/newsletter.
Game on VSiN, the sports betting network.
If you want to become a sharper bettor this holiday season, VSiN has the ultimate gift for you or the sports bettor in your life. Right now, take advantage of our holiday special. Get VSiN Pro access to everything we offer through May 1st for just $79. Sign up now, get instant access to our daily best bets, exclusive betting splits, 24/7 video access, and all our betting guides. That includes for the college football playoff, Super Bowl, March Madness, everything you need to win big this season. Make this holiday season unforgettable with the gift of smarter betting. VSiN.com/subscribe now. That's where you go. Unwrap your winning edge today. And tennis plays began last night.
Ooh.
The 2025 tennis betting season, at least for me, began yesterday. And we opened up with a 2-1 in Brisbane, Australia.
I was going to say, where are we at? Like the fourth biggest city in Australia right now?
We're
They worked their way up?
We're in Brisbane. Soon we'll be in Adelaide.
Adelaide. That's always my favorite.
Adelaide coming up. And then we'll get to Melbourne.
I got to spend way too much time around my brother-in-law who is from Australia.
Oh, yeah.
And, yeah, it's very difficult for me to not work in the accent once I have a few cocktails in me. He does not appreciate that.
Let me, Kelly Bidlin drinking? What?
I know, it's weird.
Let's go back to what I just talked about again. Get back to the Zach Taylor thing. I want folks to understand this because, we've had some folks on this network in the past who want to kill Zach Taylor for going to the, having 2 coffees instead of 1 in the morning. Zach Taylor was wrong for not kneeling. He was wrong for not kneeling with 1:36 left because it opens the possibility up for football things to happen. So, and that's the thing. And so football things happen. Chase Brown got hurt. It set up a situation that no one could have anticipated where Denver got to preserve their last timeout and Cincinnati was forced to use an injury timeout. At that point, going for the touchdown over, kicking the field goal was actually not a bad play. It's the play before where he made the wrong decision. I hope people get that. Anyway, overtime came because Sean Payton refused to go for 2, so they tied it up. Overtime came. Cincinnati punted on after 2 straight sacks. Denver followed up with a 3-and-out. Knicks missed Franklin deep. Cincinnati started at their own 44 with 5:08 left in the overtime period. They matriculated, but Cade York doinked a 33-yarder off the left upright. How many doinks were going on this weekend?
Yeah.
Then Denver 3-and-out, where Cincinnati used both of their timeouts. So this is where Denver, like Sean Payton, I don't know what kind of play calls he was making in overtime, but it got super conservative. Because remember, all Denver needed was a tie. Then Cincinnati started at their own 37 with 2:20 left in overtime. Fourth play, 1:14 left. 2nd and 10 at Denver 34. Burrow to Higgins for 31. Got both feet down. Next play, Higgins for 3. Touchdown. Ball game. Cincinnati stays alive.
Easy cover. No sweat.
Easy cover.
No sweat.
Just like last night. Anyway, so it's like, okay, Zach Taylor did something wrong. Sean Payton's like, hold my beer. Wait till we get to the next game. But this is Cincinnati at Pittsburgh, so let's go through it again. Pittsburgh still, even though they probably won't win the AFC North, a win and a Baltimore loss, they do. But even though they probably won't because Baltimore plays Cleveland, they still want to get that 5 seed because they get to go to Houston, which is probably the worst team feeling like heading into the postseason. Feels like it.
I mean, just when your options are, no matter how you feel about Houston when your options
versus,
are at Buffalo, at Baltimore, at Houston, it's an easy decision of what's easiest, right?
So it matters to Pittsburgh, but obviously it matters most to Cincinnati, who they can get this win under their belt, and then they get to watch football on Sunday to see if both the Broncos and Dolphins lose. So I came up with, putting all that in the wash, Cincinnati minus 1.5.
Cincinnati 3 is where they're at.
Oh, okay. I don't hate that play, that pick then, that guess. Okay.
I don't hate it either. I think my
I wouldn't have thought 3 though because Pittsburgh's incentivized still.
And
that's a lot.
Like, I don't know about you. I'm sure you're thinking the same way I am. Where if I had to bet a side, it'd be Cincinnati. But I'm not laying a full 3 points with Cincinnati in this spot.
There's no chance it should be 3, a full 3, except for that Mike Tomlin is going to try to go 4 straight weeks and concede a game.
Yeah. This is. I think this will be a stay away for me.
Let's go to Sunday.
All right, Sunday, early window. Panthers at Falcons.
Kelly's dying because he had a Falcons ticket. Still alive, Kelly.
And Seahawks tickets that went up in smoke last night.
You had a good weekend. Sorry. Carolina gets destroyed by Tampa Bay. We don't really need to talk about it. 48-14 is your final. That was my one horrible pick of the week. Everything else I got right. Carolina, I had plus the points. Yeah. Nice job by me.
Yeah, you're thinking shootout, and you just didn't get a shootout from the Carolina side.
Bryce Young, I think it's a good spin on the season, but there still were some choppy things. Not that it's all his fault.
Wait, can we talk Bryce Young for 1 second?
Let's make it 1 second,
okay.
But go ahead, yeah.
What is his status next season?
I think he's their quarterback. I don't think they're drafting a quarterback, but I don't. That's the thing. When we talk about the draft, New England right now has the number one play. They're the one team. By the way, 9 teams have 3 or 4 wins.
Yeah.
9. Over a quarter of the league sucks. If you are the 5-11 Saints, remember 5-11, not too good. That was Steve Spurrier talking about his skins at the time. You have the 10th pick in the draft. How much does that suck?
It's wild. It is wild.
But to your point about Carolina, I don't know what you do. I don't know.
I feel like I've heard that a lot of what are you talking about? Bryce Young he's going to be the quarterback next year.
It's coin flipping.
Okay, with all due respect to Bryce Young, and I do mean with all due respect, you put together a few nice weeks. I'm not to the point, Gill, where I'd be ready to move on still if I'm Carolina.
Let's go to the next game.
We are at Commander.
No, we're not on the next game. I'm talking about Atlanta.
Falcons. Yeah.
The Atlanta, because I got to talk about this. So then Zach Taylor and Sean Payton say, look at us. We're the Dumbos of the week. And Raheem Morris says, hold my beer. Atlanta. Early game, Penix picked by Quan Martin. Washington, 7 plays, 38 yards, 312. Daniels is Zacchaeus, who had a great game. We've replaced... We've taken Olamide Zacchaeus out of his jersey and put Terry McLaurin in it. Watch what happens. Terry McLaurin, 1 catch. Zacchaeus was all over the field yesterday.
I can't keep up with these jersey numbers, by the way.
I know, it's crazy. Anyway, 7-0 Washington on a 4th and 2 from the 7 past the Zacchaeus. 7-0 Washington first quarter. Let us fast forward to later in the half. Okay. It is now 7-7. Washington 3 and out after Jaden's knee was bent back on a second down sack or had a heart attack. Then after an Atlanta 3 and out, Washington 1st and 20 at the Atlanta 22. Daniels, bad pass picked by Caden Ellis. Atlanta goes 11 plays, 72 yards. Bijan in from 1, 14-7 Falcons. And at this point, they are dominating the line of scrimmage. Mm-hmm. Washington is committing all kinds of penalties. 4:24 left in the second quarter. And then Washington, after Washington punt, here's where the Raheem Morris shenanigans begin. Atlanta basically gifts Washington 4 points of charity. Mm-hmm. When Morris doesn't call any of his 3 timeouts, Washington got a 4th down with like 2:38 left in the half, 2:35, something like that. Raheem Morris didn't call one of his timeouts, let Washington run it down to the 2-minute warning. Then he gets the ball back with 1:53, up 7 points. They have all 3 timeouts, Kelly.
Plenty of time.
They run plays with 1:53. They let it run to 1:18.
Okay, maybe,
right? Because you still have 3 timeouts. There's still a lot of time.
Yeah.
Then 53, then 46, and now here is where you're screaming at the TV. The next play wasn't run until 20 seconds were left on the clock. 20!
I was off the couch screaming at the TV. What are you doing?
Does he think you can have 6 timeouts in the second half if you save them?
You got to save them for the offseason, Gill.
Anyway, they end up with 20 seconds left at the Washington 24, and then they go 3 yards incomplete, so they have to settle for a field goal, a 39-yarder, 17-7 at the half. And you're like, okay, thanks for the 4 points. Washington's only down 10. Remember, Washington wins, they're in the postseason. Third quarter, Washington, miserable first sequence with a hold and a sack. And then on 3rd and 22, you're like, their line is getting dominated. 3rd and 22, it's another sack, but nullified by a flag, a defensive hold. Remember that moment. The entire game changed after it. After another hold on Washington, Daniels to Ertz for 37. 7 plays later, 4th and 1 at the Atlanta 16. Jaden for 4. 3 plays later, Ertz from 10 out. 15 plays, 69-yard drive. 17-14 Atlanta. 7:13 left in the third. Then Atlanta 3 and out. Then Washington, including a 4th and 5 at the Atlanta 39, where Jaden went to McNichols for 6, where he just got to the sticks. It's a 14-play, 70-yard drive. Rodriguez Jr. in from 4. Washington takes the lead with 13:03 left in the fourth quarter, 21-17. Then another Atlanta punt. Washington 2nd and goal at the 1. The Atlanta defense holds largely because of a Cosme holding penalty on Washington's offensive lineman. Gonzalez, 31-yard field goal. Zane this time. 24-17 Washington. At this point in the second half, it was 212-14 in total yards in favor of Washington in the second half. Total tale of 2 halves. 4:32 left. Atlanta gets to 4th and 11 at midfield. Michael Penix, who didn't really impress against the Giants, did he come of age. 2:34 left in the fourth quarter. 4th and 11 at midfield. Penix to London for 31. Then McClellan McLeod for 14. They're set up at the Washington 5 with 2:20 left. They need a touchdown to tie. They go Wildcat. Drew Dahlman snaps it through Bijan's hands.
No!
Up, a loss of 21. Second and goal at the 26 of the 2-minute warning. Bijan doesn't have presence of mind to throw it when he was scrambling with the ball. Penix to London for 13 on second down. Now it's third and goal at the 13. End zone, not close to London. Fourth and goal at the 13. Surely Washington is going to clinch a playoff berth. Penix to Pitts, touchdown. 24-24. Raheem Morris says, let's kick the extra point.
What are you doing?
Washington 3 and out. Terrible drive by Washington. Terrible sequence. I don't know what they were thinking. It only took 29 seconds. Atlanta starts at their own 19 with 40 seconds left. Why don't we wait till after the break to tell you what Raheem Morris did at this point, in case you missed it?
I got like 17 more things to say about this game, too.
Oh, we still have 17 more things to say. Because again, Zach Taylor, Sean Payton, oh, you're not getting Dumbo of the week. You really aren't. Raheem Morris is coming back on a numbers game at VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Sports betting game with VSiN's exclusive betting splits. Stay ahead with real-time market trends and track bet percentages on any matchup. Then uncover the edge by comparing them to the amount of bets placed to find out where the sharp money is headed. Upgrade to VSiN Pro to access betting splits, live odds, line moves, power ratings, and in-depth game analysis. Go to vsin.com/pro to join VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is VSiN, the sports betting network.
A numbers game on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Ready to take your tailgate to the next level? You got to try Sewell's. Born from a backyard cookout in a mason jar of unforgettable flavor, Sewell's has become a southern favorite, delighting taste buds from Georgia to the Carolinas. From smoky ribs and mouth-watering wings to the perfect backyard burger, Sewell's turns every bite into a flavor-packed experience. Order now at SewellsBarbecueSauce.com. That's SEWELLS BBQ sauce.com. Flavor this good is just a click away. I'm assuming everybody knows how to spell sauce. I don't spell that. Just roll right through it.
Like Gardner.
By the way, that's correct. By the way, do you hear how Tom Brady pronounced sacks yesterday?
No.
You get that?
I have a hard time listening to him.
You can't take socks there. It was really weird.
Is it like Matt Brown with me with Hawks?
People were. It was weirder though. People were saying it was People were saying it was a New England accent, but I was like, I've lived in New England. That doesn't sound to me like, because they're like socks. It wasn't that.
Also, he's not from New England.
Right.
Like I understand he played there for a long time, but...
Can we get back to Raheem Morris for a second?
Oh, please, let's do that.
So Raheem Morris does that thing at the end of the first half where he basically gifts Washington 4 points.
That was awful.
Because they settle for a field goal instead of getting it into the end zone. No guarantee they would have gotten in the end zone, but let's say it this way. You had 3 timeouts. You kept them all. You had so much more time to work with. Okay. By the way, he's done shenanigans earlier in the year too. This is not the first time we talked about Raheem Morris.
I mean, like, worst case, Gill, it's like an easier field goal, right? That's probably what we're talking about.
Okay, so Michael Penix, who has a coming out party here in his second start, and by the way, if you're an Atlanta Falcons fan, how many times were you thinking to yourself, or an Atlanta Falcons backer, were you thinking, we should have benched Kirk Cousins weeks ago?
Yeah.
Okay.
It is kind of sad. He's such a good guy.
He's such a good guy.
I'm kind of sick of everybody talking about how good of a guy he is, but it's so true.
He's a great guy.
Any of these interviews you've heard from him, you're like, who would say that, man?
I say it every time. I was like, I can say whatever I want about him as a football player, but there's never been a moment where you didn't think he was a great guy. Fourth and goal at the 13. Washington wins. They clinch a playoff berth. Let me just talk to you about Washington. Washington has not been in the playoffs since the Taylor Heineke pylon game against Tom Brady and the Bucs in 2020. Before that, there was one Kirk Cousins playoff game in 2015. They lost at home to Aaron Rodgers. I was there. Then before that, it was the RG3 hurt his knee game where the stadium was a morgue in 2012 against the Seahawks. They lost that. I was there. And then before that, you have to go back to Gibbs 2.0, 2007 and 2005.
One that's wild. Two, how long did you hold your breath when he went down with that knee?
The Jaden Daniels bend backwards thing? It was everything RG3 all over.
Yeah, I yelled. I was like, no.
Please, no.
And he hopped right back up.
And then he hopped right back up, and I'm like, oh, for God's sakes, thank you. Anyway, so Penix, 4th and goal at the 13. 4th and goal at the 13. Penix to Pitts, touchdown, 24-24, because Raheem Morris decides to kick the extra point. Washington goes 3 and out in 29 seconds. Very ill-conceived drive. Washington deserves criticism for that as well, because Atlanta gets the ball back at their own 19 with 40 seconds left. You've got 2 timeouts, and you've got just plenty of time because you go 25 to Mooney out of the chute. Morris doesn't call timeout.
Mooney, who stays in bounds, though, too, right?
Stays in bounds. So when Penix throws it, keep in mind, they started the drive with 40 seconds. You go 25 to Mooney, right? 25 to Mooney from your own 19-yard line. Tick, 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 tick. When Penix throws an incompletion on the next play, do you know how much time is left? 12 seconds at your own 44. What are you doing? What are you doing? And as a Washington fan and backer, I had Washington ATS. I'm like, oh my God, is he going to do it again? And the answer is yes. Then there's 7 seconds left on the next incompletion. Finally, they use one with a stopped clock, right? It's already a stopped clock. They're like, we should probably use timeout. 7 seconds left. Then a PI called on Michael Davis, and it sets up a Patterson field goal, but instead of it being a chip shot or a normal length field goal, it's a 56-yarder. Even with the PI, it's a 56-yarder. And Riley Patterson, to say that this kick was way short would be an understatement. It was way short.
I was that guy who got too excited, too. I was like, oh, it's online!
Did you see the shot of like an Atlanta bar? There's a bar in Atlanta where they have people going ballistic. They're taking pictures of each other. They're all going crazy.
This is also one of those situations like new-ish kicker, right? His second game, right, correct. For them, where you're like, did they not really know what kind of leg he has? Like,
so Raheem Morris jacks up the end of the first half, jacks up the end of the second half. He's jacked up halves before. I don't care what you think of Zach Taylor or Sean Payton or whoever. That's your Dumbo of the week on the Megapod.
Okay, well, I have a bigger problem with the not going for two than even the timeouts afterward, because it shouldn't even been the situation.
Both Sean Payton and Raheem Morris?
Both of them, but more Raheem Morris because of what the tiebreaker situations are. And if you ended up tying this game, for whatever reason, you did nothing to improve your situation in the playoffs. You had to win.
Clinches with a tie. And
the Rams move on too, but that's different.
Different thing. But Atlanta, it's not.
It doesn't improve them at all. So you had to win the game.
By the way, you know what happens overtime? Washington wins the toss, and I don't know if you know this about Jaden Daniels, but you can't get him off a field. It's wonderful. Washington starts with a false start just for good old time's sake. Washington ended up with 16 penalties for 13 penalties for 108 yards.
Wow.
After the false start, Jaden for 7, to Ertz for 10, Jaden for 7, Robinson for 1, Jaden for 16, to Ertz for 4, to Rodriguez for 12, to Robinson for 4, Jaden for 6 to the 8, Jaden for no gain, Jaden for 6, third and goal at the 2 with 2:45 left in overtime. To Ertz for 2, touchdown, what a catch. Washington wins, and Washington is going to the playoffs. I don't even know how to act. 30-24, Washington's in. Seattle's eliminated. The Rams are in as they win the NFC West by virtue of the Washington win. That's why Seattle was eliminated as well there as the Rams clinch that division. And with Atlanta's loss now, they are on the outside looking in. Tampa Bay controls the NFC South. If Tampa wins, they're in. Atlanta can only get in if Tampa loses. And Atlanta wins. Yeah. That is it. Wow. What a football game. Penix, by the way, in defeat. 19 of 35 for 223. London, 7 for 106. Bijan, 17 for 90 and 2 touchdowns. By the way, we get tweets at Be the Book. I should probably point this out from somebody because this is a great one. They said, that's the worst. Listen to this. Bruce Dobigan, Bad Beat Supreme. Bijan Robinson, 84.5 yards rushing. He gets to 90 yards late in the fourth quarter. Then Genius center snaps it over his head in the Wildcat 19-yard loss. The undercovers. Hate my football life.
That's awful. By the way, that was the...
You seem really bent up about it. You're like, that's awful.
I was seeing our stats on the screen, so I got to double check now. Yeah. Okay, a couple things on that play real quick.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to defend Bijan big time here. That was just an awful snap. I don't know who,
awful snap.
We can't play the whole game, if you had a quarterback there, it would have been fine, because I don't believe that. It would have been ugly regardless. And yeah, I know they brought it up on the broadcast. Yes, it's a fair point that he's left-handed. He could have thrown the ball away. Are we really expecting running backs in that situation to be that heady to make a play like that?
No,
I think that's unfair.
I do. I agree with you. I don't think it would be fair. And yet, Michael Penix heroics gets them in the end zone nonetheless. But they botched it. There's no other. The Atlanta Falcons, if you were an Atlanta Falcons ticket holder like my man Kelly Bidlin right here, or if you're an Atlanta Falcons fan, it should be on your racket heading in to next week, because you shouldn't have settled for 3 in the first half, and you saw what happened in the second half. It's just incredible. How can you be a pro coach and be so myopic into your X's and O's that this time management thing escapes you? We talk about it all the time, but it's not getting better. It's getting worse. And Todd Wishnev on the Megapod says it very simply. Because every once in a while someone comes up, oh, really, you think you're that much smarter than those guys are? No, when it comes to X's and O's, they're not. Even though Wishnev says if you give him a year and a half, he'll be just as good at that as those guys. But I'm just saying, they are so into their film. They don't watch as much football as we do. We watch a bajillion football games. They don't. And so we get to see how you're supposed to be. It gets beaten into you over time, right? You understand how to manage the clock. These guys don't. Anyway, what am I supposed to do here? Make a guess?
Make a guess. Panthers at Falcons.
Okay. I forgot how the show goes. Carolina, Atlanta? Oh, well, Atlanta's got to win, and they're playing at the same time as the Bucs. So Atlanta minus 8.5. It's got to be more than 7. It's going to be the exact same spread as what was last week, Carolina at Tampa Bay.
Okay, so I think it's interesting you just said that. It's 7.5, so close to, right?
Yeah.
But don't you view Tampa Bay as a better football team than Atlanta? Like, this could only be Carolina or nothing for me. I'm not betting.
But that's what I said last week against Carolina at Tampa yesterday. So I mean, yeah, I'll say the same thing, but I'm not betting it again. Yeah, I mean you're right.
Yes, you're right. Carolina did get destroyed in that game.
Did I mention that Washington, since Gibbs 1.0, has only been to the playoffs? Let me count them: once during Norv Turner, twice during Gibbs 2.0, then 2012 RG3, 2015 Kirk Cousins, 2020 Heineke to the pylon. So literally, when Joe Gibbs is not the coach, they've only been to the playoffs 4 teams since the early 90s. Four times.
I love seeing this out of real fans. Way to stick with the team, Washington fans. You finally got back there.
Man. By the way, if they're going to... So Washington, we'll get to Washington's game. If they go to L.A. to play the Rams, I might have to go.
Ooh.
If they mess it up and it's Philadelphia, you can forget about it. More games to pick the lines of. Looking for value. Forgot that's what we're doing. Week 18, coming back.
Got a good thing coming. Just wait and see. It's a good.
You spoke, we listened. Introducing the all-new VSiN Watch app. Now, you can watch and listen to VSiN expert analysis live wherever you are. Missed a show? No problem. Catch replays of VSiN's full lineup at any time. View highlights sorted by sport. Or use the search feature to find specific teams and topics you're looking for. And the best part? It's free for a limited time. Download the VSiN Watch app today. Available now on the App Store and Google Play. And join us on the Sports Betting Network.
Game on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Did you know you can take VSiN with you wherever you go with the VSiN Watch app? It's never been easier to stay connected to the action, whether you're on your phone, tablet, or even your smart TV. And here's the best part. It's absolutely free for a limited time. Won't cost you nothing. With the VSiN Watch app, you get 24/7 live access, replays of your favorite VSiN shows, the ability to stream directly to your smart TV, quick access to clips by sport, and a search feature that lets you find exactly the insights you've been looking for from VSiN experts. Don't miss out. Get the VSiN Watch app and stay in the game wherever you are. Once again, great for going back to your favorite show and say, oh my God, I missed that segment from yesterday, first hour. Let me grab that. Or a segment from May or April. It's awesome. Check it out. We get tweets. Oh, so many tweets. Our own Matt Brown live tweeting the show. He's bragging because he got 3-0 on the Megapod. 3-0 in the guest chair. Guest chair is making a run for the championship.
What did I go the week before? 2-1?
Did you go 2-1? I don't know what you did.
I think so.
But Matt Brown goes 3-0. Matt Brown also with Survivor, with their lone 18 entries, the remaining 18 entries in Circa Survivor, lets us know that nobody has the Ravens, nobody has the Broncos left. 5 have the Buccaneers, 2 have the Packers, 13 have the Falcons, 5 have the Falcons and or the Bucs and Packers. Thank you, Matt Brown, for that Circa Survivor update. Michael Burns, I'm a ginger myself, and Kelly looks very pale for having spent a week in Florida.
Oh, it was one of those. It was one of those
yourself?
Classic Florida weeks. Plenty of time at the pool. When I first got there, it was great weather, and then it rained for like 4 days straight.
Jason H11, the gang is back together. Welcome back, Kelly. Glad you've turned over a new leaf and are no longer a hurricane chaser. Joe C714, because of the Chase Brown injury, I lost my fantasy final. Guy got the extra 11-plus points in OT from Higgins. Sigh. Ooh, he's so
man.
By the way, Todd Wright and I were texting back and forth yesterday. Todd Wright, who rules his fantasy leagues with an iron fist and is always ahead of the curve. You know what he said? I think it's a great thing. He started last year moving his fantasy championship up a week.
Yeah.
There are too many opt-outs, too many people sitting in week 17 of the NFL. So people play an entire fantasy season and they get to week 17 like, none of my guys are in. That kind of thing. Jason, ice cold gambler. You should consider giving Kelly more vacation time. His energy is next level today. LFG.
I didn't really think I was that different, Tag. I got a lot of positive and negative tweets in my timeline.
Oh, is that right?
Oh, yeah.
People are tired of you already?
Yeah, I got one that was basically, shut up. You're ruining the show.
Stat Logic Sports said that Fezzik said bad things about Washington last week. He says Washington can't play a lick. He said, Fezzik did, the week before last, I guess. So he said, next time you have Fezzik on, remind him last week. He said the Commanders can't play a lick. Verbatim on the air. Hail. I didn't know Fezzik said that. James Sott. Oh, he was waiting for the Raheem Morris roast. Hope you enjoyed it. Raj Bhatti talking to Matt Brown. He says, you were awesome, dude, to Matt Brown on the Megapod. And he said, Todd, please be genuinely nice to your co-host this week. Refrain from saying things like, I'm not going to talk about Will's pick because he's so far behind it doesn't matter. Me and Todd, Megapod showdown this coming week. I'm trying to three-peat with an asterisk because I had the game where DeMar Hamlin got hurt. It's a whole thing. James Fraction. Hey, Gill, congrats on the Washington win. I had them on the money line and -3 last night. And when they won the coin toss to start overtime, I knew that Daniels would not let the Falcons touch the ball again. What a competitive advantage to have a quarterback like that. Last thing, Caleb Williams.
He is not special. He is not special. There's nothing special about him.
It's like a Pavlov dog thing here.
Well done. I guess we brought that back while I was out. Darnell's all over it.
Yes, we did. We brought it back last week. The Jaden Daniels thing is amazing. And remember, there was that whole swath at the beginning of the game, beginning of the season, where Washington never punted. Remember, it was Caleb who said that in the offseason? Oh, we're not going to punt. No, it's Jaden. You can't get him off the field when it matters. Joe C. adds, first thing I did after Washington won was check the line for the Niners-Lions game. Talking about Monday Night Football tonight. Line was still Detroit -3.5. They have nothing to play for. Does Campbell play everyone all game? Well, we were going to get to this. Might as well get to it now. I think Dan Campbell is off his rocker insane if he plays players tonight. You know what Dan Campbell is? Off his rocker insane. So I think he's playing people. Like, what is he doing if he plays these folks?
Yeah, I don't know. This game is very...
Don't play. You cannot risk injury. You already have a ton of injuries.
Yeah, I mean, nothing matters until next week. It doesn't matter.
If Jared Goff gets hurt, I'm going to pick Jared Goff randomly. You never live this down. Stop it with playing players. And yet he's going to play him. Maybe he splits the difference. Maybe he plays him for a half. I still don't do that.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't either. The other side of this, though, I think I heard Jeff Schwartz say it end of last week, and I completely agree. Like, there's the young, maybe up-and-coming, scrappy teams at this time of year that watch out. You know, there might be out there to spoil some teams' fates. I don't think that's the 49ers at all. Like,
No.
it has been such a terrible season that, like, I think it's looking forward to vacation time right now.
Detroit and Minnesota for not only the NFC North title, but the number one seed throughout the NFC playoffs, the only team that gets a bye. By the way, the most important thing you can have in a postseason is the bye, because you don't play a game that everybody else has to. No matter how you break down teams or handicap teams, not playing a game is still the single biggest advantage of any of this. And it is amazing, Kelly, that we're going to have two 14-2 teams. We're going to have a 14-3 team, assuming there's no tie. And then it would be 14-2-1. But we're going to have a 14-3 team that ends up as a wild card. It's unbelievable. Jesse Welch, Kelly Bidley back in the hizzy. That's all he has to say. Numbers guys. Also, and this might be being ignorant, but Tom Brady, in addition to pronouncing sacks strangely, doesn't call the 20-yard space adjacent to the end zone the red zone. He says he's calling it the red area or something like that. Come on, man. Don't be too cool for school. I didn't notice that about it. Red area.
Yeah, I feel like that is definitely more of a player-coach thing. Like, I'd actually like to poll players and coaches because I hear that far more often
the red area?
Than the rest of us, where we just always go red zone.
Come on, it's the red zone. Scott, New York Mets 16. Bijan was credited, in quotes, with a fumble, no rushing yardage lost. Bijan finished with 90 yards. So Bruce Dobigan, maybe somebody's screwing you.
Merry Christmas, Bruce Dobigan. If you didn't check your account, wake up this morning and check it because it should be
Scott.
there.
Thank you, Scott, New York Mets 16. And in New York Mets 16 adds, he says, Eberflus is sending Raheem Morris and Sean Payton fruit baskets. No, Matt Eberflus is still the guy on the trophy. Yeah. He still is engraved in the trophy. They're all winning the Eberflus Dumbo of the Week award. And then Torch D, last one for this set, he says, I would like to thank the comparable as opposed to the incomparable Terry McClure. He says, I would like to thank the comparable Olamide Zacchaeus for cashing my 18-1 first touchdown bet last night. I would also like to thank Hard Rock for swiftly limiting my bets to $10 max after I hit it. So dumb, these sports books. Like, that's how you profile players. Oh, he hit it 18-1. He must be the sharpest guy in the world. Let's limit him to $10. Stop it. All right, what's next?
I got a story for you off the air.
Oh, good. Great. Can't wait.
Commanders and Cowboys.
All right, Commanders, we talked about. Jaden, 24 of 36 for 227, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick, 16 carries for 127. Dallas loses to Philly. We don't really need to talk about that much other than that started with a pick 6 that rushed through to C.J. Gardner-Johnson and went down from there. But Kenny Pickett, who was in for Jalen Hurts still unable to go because of the concussion. He got hurt at some point, Kenny Pickett did. And then Tanner McKee out of Stanford had to come in. He was 3 of 4, including 2 touchdown passes, one of which was a perfect back shoulder to A.J. Brown. So Philly was down to their third-string quarterback anyway. They end up winning 41-7.
You caught the A.J. Brown throw to the crowd?
Yes, and A.J. Brown, excited about his touchdown, throws it in the crowd, and then he is quietly informed afterwards, hey, you just threw Tanner McKee's first touchdown pass out into the stands. And so he felt so bad, and they got it back.
Oh, he had to have done everything to get that. Can you imagine being Tanner McKee then? I would have been furious. But what are you supposed to say? You're Tanner McKee. Like, when you're going to go up to A.J. Brown and, just lose it on him?
Hey, A.J.
Yeah, hey, A.J.
That was my first touchdown pass. That was my Tanner McKee, everybody. I have no idea if he sounds like that.
I think
very rude of me. All right, so this is a tough line to make. Washington, Dallas, right? Greatest rivalry in sports if it's 1982. Dallas, obviously, donezo. Washington is in, but there is a slight seeding matter where right now you are playing the Rams. You're the 6, the Rams are the 3, third best division winner. You could end up playing Tampa if you're the 6th seed if Tampa won and the Rams lost. But let's just say it's the Rams. If you lose this game and Green Bay wins, you fall to the 7 and you'll have to play at Philly. The question becomes, does seeding matter enough to Washington? Does it matter more for you to play at Los Angeles than to play at Philly than it does in the calculus of all of it to make sure your players don't get hurt? That's the decision Dan Quinn and Washington Commanders have to make.
And not an easy one.
Not an easy one. I just put Washington -3 because I don't know how to parse that out.
Ding, ding, ding. Washington -3 right now.
Okay.
I think I don't know about you, but I'd approach that as, hey, anybody like dealing with an injury I know I'm going to need for the playoffs, I'd probably be sitting, resting or something like that. But otherwise, the seeding matters enough for me to try to want to go out there.
We tend to, as sports bettors, we tend to overrate seeding,
probably.
I think, generally speaking. But I do think in this situation, especially with Pittsburgh, right? Pittsburgh is like, oh, we do want to go to Houston.
Yeah,
so
that's
we do
huge.
want to. That's actually huge. This one, I don't know. And
nice.
as good as Philly is, Washington's familiar with them. So does it matter more to you to make sure your players don't get hurt? I don't know how they're going to play it. We'll find out this week. More lines to guess Week 18. It's a numbers game at VSiN.
And we're out.
Okay, give me 1 sec. I need to load funds into my gaming apps.
Stormy, really